Back at it again. Another episode of If Be Your Will podcasts. Um, I have some a fun guest here today. A great band, Las Nubes out of Miami, and I have Ali coming in, one of the two founding members of the band, and we're gonna have a great chat. We've already started having a great chat. I had to hit record so that we could get some of this online, but. Thanks, Ellie, for jumping on and joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to chat.
Yeah, it's been really fun looking at your history, your timeline with Las Nubes, just kind of seeing where it came from and what you. Um, but I'd like to kind of rewind a little bit with you and kind of drill down a little bit of like where it all started for you. Like, when did music become a priority? Or something that you felt was really a part of who you were?
Um, I mean, since I was a kid, really, like I started my first band when I was 15 and I played drums in this like all girl power pop band. Um, but then it wasn't until I was like in my early 20s. I mean, I was going to shows at the time. A lot of my friends were playing in bands, and I kind of wanted to be part of that. But in a way, I don't know. When I was like younger, there wasn't a lot of female representation in the punk scene. And so in my early 20s, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to start a power violence band. So I started a power violence band with some friends that I went to college with. That evolved into this like all girl riot girl band called Testacra. And I felt like when I was in that band, I wasn't doing as much as I really, really wanted to. Like, I wanted to tour, I wanted to record, and everything was just kind of moving really slow for me because everyone else was focused with school and work. And I, at that point, just had decided that that's not for me. And so I dropped out of college and I started doing my own thing, which was called Smut, and then became Las Nubes eventually. And in between that time, I was also playing in other bands and stuff. But it wasn't until really like I started doing it myself that I finally got to do it how I had always wanted to, at the pace that I wanted to do it. And luckily, I was able to find Emily, who is just as gun-ho and excited about doing stuff as I am. And we've just been at it for 7 years now at this point.
That's amazing.
Sometimes
you guys got together in 2017, is that right?
Yeah. So her and I worked at a record store together called Sweat Records. She was part owner and like manager at the time, and I was just working there. And one day, a friend of ours who books shows here in Miami, he comes up to me because he had already heard the stuff that I did by myself as Smut, and he was like, I have Shonen Knife coming down to play a show here, and I need an opening band. Would you want to play? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, but I'm not playing by myself. That's just crazy. And Emily was right next to me when that conversation was happening. She plays drums, and she was like, I call drums.
Cool.
And
cool.
I asked another friend who played bass. They learned the songs, and then that's how it went, basically.
And so your first experiences as Las Nubes was this impromptu opening show for another band.
For Shonen Knife. Yeah, I know.
That's so cool.
We were still called Smut at the time, because that was just the name that I was like the moniker that I was performing under. And I didn't really have time to like pick anything else. But as time went along and we were putting out music and stuff, we realized that there were other bands with that name, and that a lot of our friends were getting confused and asking, hey, is it true you're playing in San Francisco tonight? And we're like, no, we're in Miami. um, so that's when we decided to change it to Las Nubes.
Cool. And like, what was your style when you were first starting, like writing songs for Smut as that band? Like, what was the style, and kind of like what was your process for writing songs as an individual? For, I mean, at the start of it was just you, right? Like you were the band. Can you walk us through a little bit of that, like the style that you came to start to play with, and kind of your process for writing songs?
Yeah. So I started because I had come from like the punk and hardcore scene. I was writing a lot of really aggressive and intense, but kind of garagey stuff. At the time, I was listening to like, like Ty Segall and Jay Retard and Vivian Girls, but I was also really into, uh, I don't know, bands like Spaz and Los Crudos and stuff like that. So I kind of combined the two in a way that felt familiar and that I could, you know, play and write. Um, and at that time, I recorded everything myself, like guitars, drums, bass, vocals. I did everything. Um, and for a while when I was like, if I had ever got asked to do shows, I would always ask a friend that played drums to just jump on and play with
Okay.
me, and we'd do like one-offs. Like we would always play at, the International Noise Conference or just like noise shows, hardcore shows. I did a tour once with Rat Bastard, who is like super well known here. He's
Mm-hmm.
like the noise godfather of Miami.
Nice.
And I did a tour with him where every night I played with a different drummer, and that's kind of like how it started off, like this style wise.
Okay.
And then eventually I got tired of screaming and yelling. So I was like, let me just write, something that I can try and sing and a little more like laid back, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and that's when I started writing a lot of the songs that, Las Nubes plays still to this day.
Hmm. That's
Not
amazing.
necessarily like laid back, but just less aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you can feel that, but you hold it to a certain level, right? You never kind of just let the top fly off, but it
Right.
gets to a certain crescendo all the time that is intense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's a plethora of different styles I find in the new record anyway. Like you have some really dreamy, like, I mean,
Mhm.
wonderfully melodic songs, and then, a noise, like, I mean, I wouldn't call it, it's kind of noise poppy, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so much melody involved in it, and the singing is very melodic.
Mhm.
But I had a question about, how do you find your voice when you were first getting into, what did you call it? Violent pop, or what was the term
Oh,
you had called?
power violence.
Power violent. Like, example, like, how do you find your voice for that? Like, what's what do you have to put your body through, your vocal cords through, to get to that level of intensity?
Honestly, I don't know. I think I was just really angry at the time and I was listening to a lot of Riot Girl bands too, or just a lot of very aggressive music. Like I really loved Babes in Toyland. I
Yeah,
mean, I still love
yeah,
them. They're great.
yeah. Great,
But
great band.
I loved how Cappy Ellen was able to go from singing to just like screeching almost. And I always found it fascinating and I wanted to do something similar to that. And I just, I don't know, I couldn't really ever pull it off when recording, but when performing live, because there's so much tension and energy and you feel the energy from the crowd because people at punk shows, hardcore shows, like people are going nuts
Right,
regardless. That
right.
kind of feeds you in a way. And I guess that just like helped me kind of come out and be able to scream. And
Hmm.
I was able to find my voice in that sense. And for other bands after that, I would still utilize that. But yeah, I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm tired.
Yeah, it takes so much energy though. Eh? Like
Yeah.
I was talking with this band from Brooklyn called Native Son a little while ago.
Yes, they're friends.
Amazing.
Love
Oh,
that.
they're so cool. And he was saying during his live show, he doesn't know where the stage to the floor to somebody's arm to his leg to like it's just all this metamorphosis of the show into this one sound blob. Just like everything is everywhere.
Yeah.
And he says that's when I know that the show is going really well, where I don't even realize I'm on stage anymore or I'm getting carried across the crowd or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But when you're writing the songs, Ali, are you? I mean, you're not screaming them or using that full energy when you're writing the song initially? Like, how do those does it kind of all start as kind of a, I don't want to say a folk song, but like a unplugged kind of, and then you have to imagine or envision what the sound might be like performing live or putting it down on tape? Can you talk a little bit about how you get the idea of the song and how that is created compared to what the end result is?
Right. I I don't know. I feel like my writing process it varies. I don't stick to like one thing. I usually just do different things and whatever comes first kind of just comes first. But a lot of the times, like when I was writing those first songs, um, I used that music more as a form of catharsis. So like just a way to let out all this pent up anger and energy that I had. And I think a lot of the times when I'm writing music, like for example, if I come up with a riff first, I'll just start playing it, um, and I'll hum a melody or just kind of make up words as I go. And sometimes, you know, it could be nonsense, but because the words sound good with the melody that I'm playing, I'll try to use that or use like a certain amount of syllables and find words that fit into that. I don't know
Or
that's
those
kind of,
parameters? No,
yeah.
that's a really great description, actually. That's really cool. Um, and what changed once you started, like with Las Nubes? Do you and Emily now write together, or is it still each of you brings your own songs in, or is it a collaboration all the time? Like, what's your process now with your band for
So
writing in?
I um I would say that like I write pretty much okay, so it depends. It depends.
Right.
I would say most of the time just come to Emily with a song written already
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'll be like, write something for drums. um Sometimes I get on her nerves because I'll write a song and I'll record drums to the demo because like I hear it all in my head and I know what I
Right.
want it to sound like and I'll hear it to her and she's like, "Can you send that to me without the drums, please?"
Right. Right.
Which I
Right.
understand. Like I love how she writes and like the I feel like she hears certain things that I don't and adds these little, I don't know, little things of just dynamics to it, um, that I would never think of because I play drums like a guitar player. She plays
Right.
drums like a drummer.
Right. Right.
So yeah, but most of the time I write the full song, like I have the fleshed out idea, or I'll have like a riff written out
Hmm.
and then I just send it to her and she'll write drums around it.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
it's very collaborative between the two of you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nice. And tell me a little bit about. I've seen quotes from Iggy Pop, right? Most socially relevant band, Miami. Themes he's expressed. What was the one quote? They represent an uncompromising lifestyle trend that is the future. Wow.
I know.
um, isn't that amazing? What what is that? What is he talking about? Like to you, like what are those words coming out of his mouth mean to you? Like representing an uncompromising lifestyle trend that is the future.
I love him so much. Let me just start off by saying that he
Right
is
on.
one of the nicest, most like genuinely kind people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting and
Mhm.
like even working with. Like he's a treasure. I love that
Mhm.
man.
Cool.
I think I don't know. I feel like since I met him, he always had this thing like every time I see him, he always, remembers about my band and always remembers just like certain things and always asks about me and how I'm doing. And I remember one time he was shooting a music video and wanted me to be in it. And specifically, I remember in the email, he said something like, I really love Alice's style. I like her haircuts and her tattoos. Like, she's got attitude and, like, just looks cool. And I was just like, damn, okay, thank you. And so I don't know. I just feel like he probably sees something in us that is just apart from visual aesthetic or whatever, that we have tattoos and that we look cool.
Sure.
Like I feel like I don't know, maybe because we're a couple of women just fucking like playing hard and you know talking about singing about things that a lot of people wouldn't think to sing about but can relate to. Like I don't
Hmm.
know, that's maybe what he means by that.
Right.
But
Right.
he's an enigma, so I don't think that he could have meant something else too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, those kinds of people too, like these iconic, like, I mean, they're just in the fabric of our culture.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the things they say sometimes are just like, I got to think about that again. Like, what
Yeah.
is, you got to really kind of drill down a bit further and then you start to realize it. And it kind of brings me to my next question is the themes that you tend to write about.
Mhm.
Um, I told you before, just for fun, I took all your lyrics from your latest record and jammed them into ChatGPT, and it's pretty cool. Some of like the themes that and they're heavy themes. Like these are not like sunny day, oh rainbows and puppies. These are like it's 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 experiences in life that has gotten you, and
Mhm.
you put it out there. So how do you find the courage to rip out sometimes these feelings you have, frustrations, you know, figuring things out, who you are, where we fit, what the future is, and how do you take all of that and like have the willingness to put it out there for everyone to see? Um, because I find like a lot of your lyrics are very personal, and it takes some bravery to, it's like letting someone read your journal almost.
Yeah.
Where does that come from you that you can put this stuff down and then want to share it with the world?
So, like you said, it is like a journal, basically. I don't really keep journals, but I write songs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like I use this word a lot, but for me, it's just cathartic. And it's also, I love when I hear music and maybe whatever, like the song itself, you know, draws me in, but then I hear the lyrics and what, they're singing about, and I'm like, damn, I can really relate to that. Or, wow, this like brings me back to this situation. Or like maybe I'm having a moment where I'm just feeling bummed out about something and I hear a song and the lyrics just go exactly with what I'm feeling. I love that so much. And I feel like when I first started writing a lot of the songs for this band, is that was really my intention. Was I want to write music that people can relate to and feel comfort in when they hear it. Like, oh wow, someone else went through what I went through and they're able to put it into words, you know? Like, I
Right.
think that's really healing. And that's what I love about music is that it's universal and it can, you know, help people going through a dark time or help people express like, you know, a happy emotion. Like it
Right.
just, it is very therapeutic, I think,
Yeah.
in a way.
I love how you're seeing it through the listener's essence as well, that hopefully it connects. Well, I'll tell you right away, I'm a listener and it does connect, you know, and you're so right. It like, it puts into words feelings that you've had and
Hmm.
you're not sure what to do. How do I get these? How do I
Right.
manifest them or get them out? Because I
Yeah.
find a lot of times musicians will write powerful songs and get them out. And it is, like you said, this kind of like, whew, okay, I needed to let some of that go.
Hmm.
Um, and like, where do you dip into in your soul? Like, what are the most common themes that you tend to write your songs around that you know that you have to get out?
Well, I would say the first record that we put out, a lot of those songs were about just a specific relationship that I was in, or a couple of like people that I dated.
Right.
Um, it was like just a way to kind of get over
Mm,
them.
mm,
But I feel like with this record, it kind of evolved into more than just, you know, love songs or more than just like breakup songs. It's,
right.
you know, Would Be is about, you know, getting older and feeling like you wasted time. Pesada is about performative activism and, you know, George Floyd murders. And like the Silhouetted Man is about my cousin who died of a drug overdose. Like
Mm,
Caminar Sola is about being a woman and walking alone at night. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like
right.
different things. But there's also
Right.
songs like The Weeks That Follow, that I wrote that in the perspective of someone else that went through, like, she was pregnant and then went to give birth and like her baby died in the hospital.
Mm,
Agua Plástica is about being pregnant while being on tour. But those two songs, like, I didn't go through that, but close friends of mine went through that. And I was
right.
like, overwhelmed with emotion about it that I felt like I had to kind of say something. So
Mm,
despite not actually experiencing that firsthand, I wrote it in their perspective, just trying to like put myself in their shoes and see how they must have felt
right.
going through those experiences.
It's amazing. I mean, that requires great empathy. And I see that in your songs, this empathy for the struggle that we all go through, as you said, this human
Mm-hmm.
aspect of that we all kind of live, you know.
Yeah.
I love that video too of you were saying before, of your dad, of the would be.
Yeah.
And it's just such an amazing, simple video of just watching your dad do tricks with a soccer ball.
Yeah.
And but the lyrics as they're playing, it just gets you. I really appreciate that song a lot. I've been listening to it a lot too. Uh, it makes me remember my dad too, which was
Yeah.
a real treat.
Yeah. I had a
So
lot of, oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I had a lot of friends that messaged me about that, and they were just like, "Oh my God, I love this! The video, it's so good. Everything's great."
Yeah. Sometimes the simplest things, they are just like through the roof.
Mhm.
Um, so your latest record's coming out June 14th,
Yes,
and it is called, I'm going to get this right, Tormentus Mausanus.
yes, you got it.
Yes, which means unearthly storms, right? So like
Unhealthy storms.
unhealthy, sorry, I wrote it wrong.
Yes.
Unhealthy storms. So if you were to describe this record in the process of putting it together, and I mean, I'm sure it's still very close to you just because I'm sure you just finished mixing and mastering and listening to it a gazillion times. But if you were to kind of step back a little bit, what do you think about this record that you guys have assembled in the songs?
I'm really proud of it. It's just an amalgamation of a lot of shit. Just a lot of stuff that we went through. I mean, I hate to like bring it up over and over again, but we went through a pandemic when
Sure did,
a
yeah.
lot of the songs were written, so that's something that is felt through it. I also, you know, went through a divorce as I was like finishing the record. So it just felt like I don't know, it's just this like accumulation of just tension of like a thunderstorm, a hurricane that was happening all at once, and it's just being let out and put out in the world. I would say my favorite song on the record is Galicia. It's a 10-minute song, which is insane for a lot of people to sit through 10 minutes of it, but it's I love that one, and I love how it ends because we used a sample of a hurricane, Hurricane Irma, and I wrote a poem for the end, and I recite the poem at the end of that while the thunderstorm is like happening. So it's kind of I I love that part, and I feel like that song kind of just wraps everything up perfectly. Like it just is a good summation of everything that we went through for the last 5 years trying to write and record and finish this record.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, so well described, Ali. That's so cool. My last question for you. 2024, here we are. Your record's coming out June 14th. What else is in store for you guys in 2024?
So we are doing a West Coast tour in August. We are looking forward to doing, I think, 2 more tours. So one in October in the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken, and then in the Midwest in November. And then hopefully next year, maybe February or March, we'll be going to Europe.
Cool.
Because we have a label from Spain also putting out the record for us out there, and we were talking to them about maybe like them getting us out there. So hopefully that happens. But
we'll keep our fingers crossed for them.
Yeah,
what a treat!
Just a lot of touring.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a busy stretch coming up.
Yes, yes, we
Amazing.
do. And I'm
well deserved. Well deserved, and you get to champion this record, which I think is going to be definitely listened to and on rotation, heavy rotation in my house anyway. But I just get a real good sense from it. It just feels really natural and true and honest. It's just great. It's a really great record. So I want to thank you for taking some time and joining me today. This has been really fun. I've loved your stories and your backstories, and the writing process just been so well explained, and I've really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I had a blast. This was a really good chat. Like,
cool.
It felt very natural and like not awkward at all.
Excellent. That's what we try to do.
I can be really awkward sometimes, and I did not feel awkward. So thank you for having amazing questions and being great at talking.
Well, you're a natural too. So thank you for that. It's been a lot of fun. So all the best. Thanks.
Thank you.